Hi, my name is Libby Sobek. I am the Director of Education Policy at the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty. The purpose of this video is to show the difference between accessing publicly available information about public school expenditures and revenues in Wisconsin compared to another state like Georgia. Wisconsin currently has legislation proposed by Senator Freskowski and Representative Magnifici that would require the Department of Public Instruction to create a centralized system that is user-friendly to provide us with information about how funds are being spent and allocated to school districts across the state. Let's begin and dive into how the current system works under DPI. So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to start on DPI's website because I think if I'm a parent or somebody who's just Googling, I'm going to know that DPI is the state's database in terms of understanding who and what school districts are doing. This is their homepage, and it's not exactly clear that I'm supposed to go to a certain website. Now, if I see data and media, I think, hey, that could be what I'm looking for. I want to find out data about school districts. So I'm going to click on school finance because I think that if I'm somebody looking to understand where money's going, that seems to be where I'm supposed to be taking me. Now, for those of you who spend a lot of time on DPI's website, you actually know that we have an entirely different public portal of information about school information about public schools in Wisconsin called WiseDash. This is not taking me there. So let's follow down this rabbit hole, but with the complete recognition that we know there's a separate website, but isn't exactly made clear to somebody from the outside. So this is called the Data Warehouse. There's a lot of text on this website. Let's just pick school district profiles. Talks about general finance data. Sounds like what I want. Okay, now I'm here. Let's just keep clicking on the same link. All right, so now I'm in the school finance data warehouse. I will note that this is, again, not the same thing as WiseDash, but seems to tell me that it's going to give me the information I want. Let's start with comparative revenue per member to see what that is. I'm going to choose 2019 because we know that year works, and I'm going to choose Abbotsford because it's the first in the alphabet in Wisconsin. I'm not picking on Abbotsford for any other reason. So this is telling me that in Abbotsford, that their state revenue per member is around $9,200, which is pretty high compared to the state. Its property tax levels are lower compared to state averages, a little bit higher for federal, local looks a little bit lower. There's 767 kids out of the total number of 855,000 students in Wisconsin, which is giving us total revenue per member of $13,625. Okay, so I think what this is telling me is this is how much money the school district gets per student. But where does that money go and what is it being spent on? I don't know. So let's go back. This is comparative revenue. And note that it was not exactly easy to go back to that page. One more time. Now let's do comparative cost. I'm assuming this is going to help me on expenditures. We'll pick the same school year, same school district, show agency. All right, so this is telling me that educational cost per member is $10,727. There's a transportation cost, facilities cost. Oh, so total education cost per member is just over $12,000. They then have food service, getting us to a total amount of $13,611. Now, I'll note, I wrote this down, that the other side, the comparative revenue per member, was $13,625. I'm not really sure why there's a difference. Seems like it's pretty consistent on every other aspect, but we now have two numbers. It's around $13,600 per student. Now I'm going to cheat and I'm going to go to WiseDash because I know that there's some information on this website as well. So I am going to scroll through quickly. I'm going to note that it tells me there's certified data, but I can't click on it. So let's go on the top. Digital equity doesn't seem right. ESSA, oh, finance resources. Per pupil expenditures. Let's try this. Now you're going to see that I already have it selected for Abbotsford and for 2019. Let's make sure. Let's do 2018-19 to make sure that we're doing a comparative cost. Okay, because this was 2018-19. All right, so same school district, same year, but this is telling me a different number. So this is telling me per pupil expenditures for the same school year. At the Abbotsford Elementary School was around 11,400, and at the middle school and high school we're at 11,300 or so. It's now telling me the breakdown. So I'm seeing that the numbers match, that we have 11,000 on both, but we just saw that on the other tabs, they were much closer to 13,000 per student. It's not really clear to me why there's a difference. I also don't know why are they spending more money at the elementary school versus the high school when the high school has more kids. That's interesting. This is telling me district-wide. So total school expenditures are 8.6 million, but they have 3.4 million in exclusions. So exclusions include things like aid transits, capital projects, community services, debt service, facilities, food service. That's a lot of exclusions. That's $3.4 million worth of exclusions. So maybe that's the difference between the $13,600 in change per student compared to the $11,000 cited here. But I genuinely don't know why there's this difference. And I'm really confused. And I don't know how I'm supposed to find out why one is going to the other. Let's click on the link from DPI. This is telling me more about this ESSA funding. So I guess I could read through this website to see if that tells me and all about the exclusions. But I note that, you know, one of the things that they're talking about are certain non-accountability students. That was not included. Let's see. Debt service. I think I'd probably want to know what debt service is. Definitely want to know about facilities. Definitely want to know about food service. I'm interested in public choice tuition. This is the open enrollment program. So we know that there's a lot of information that's being excluded here, and we don't know what that is. Let's try going to Abbotsford's homepage and seeing if we can find the district budget, because maybe that will help us. So let's just scroll through quickly. District quick links. Not seeing it, so let's search. Okay. Let's try changing my search. So I'm sure I could spend some time Googling on their website to figure this out, but I'm going to just point out that I don't know how much information and what information is correct. Are they spending $13,625 per student? Are they spending $13,611? Are they spending $11,000 per student? I have no idea. Let's look at Georgia's system, which was passed in a bipartisan manner a few sessions ago that were really designed to create more transparency. So I'm at the Georgia Department of Education's website, their version of the public instruction, called the School System Financial Information. Let's just refresh to make sure this all works. What I like about this is it's right off the bat, really visually easy to understand what I'm going to do. It's telling me pretty clear instructions. So select a system from the dropdown. Let's pick on Appling County, again, only because it is the first in the alphabet. Click on one of the icons. Let's do revenues by system. So this is now telling me how much revenue Appling County school system is getting. Again, this is their version of districts, just a different name. So we see mill rate, we see the breakdown of state, local, and federal funds. We see total revenues by year and per FTE, which is pretty interesting. We also see that of their total revenues, we can see the breakdown. I like that a lot. Property tax value, total by source. So it looks like they've gotten more state aid in 2020. Let's click the arrow. Now this is telling me all system expenditures. So before we were seeing revenue, this should now be showing me expenditures while it loads. Let's not hold this against Georgia's website. So we're seeing that the total expenditures for this system is pretty big in 2018. It's actually continued to grow over the last couple of years. Okay, and now we're seeing a comparison of year to year in these various categories. Instruction is green, which is driving the budget. The next largest is pupil services, improvements of instructional service. And if I click on it, I can really see what it is per year, which I think is really interesting. So if I want to see how much instruction meant, what is 53%, I can see what that was by school year. Now, this again is just more the general overview, but if I go to the next page, it's going to actually show me by facility within the school district. So let's focus on the high school. I'll select the drop down just to sort of be able to show. And this is showing me by fiscal year, salary, and benefits are really driving the budget, instructional, professional development, non-support staff, facilities, and new construction. This visually is also broken down here. And I think this is really helpful because if I'm trying to understand what's driving my school district's budget, I'm going to see that these are pretty big categories. And I'm either going to be really happy with that, or I'm going to say, what are we doing new construction for? I also like that there's more information than just the school buildings. For example, there's also information about central office. This is something that if you pay attention to school board budget debates, often you hear questions about how much of the money that's being sent is being caught up in the central office compared to the actual school buildings. The Georgia model lets us see how much money in salary and benefits, instructional professional development, how much money is being sent to central office, which is a really powerful tool to be able to help people understand. We also see information about maintenance, again, something that often drives school budgets because particularly if they have older buildings. I can also see a breakdown of elementary schools. I think this is really helpful for parents who maybe are trying to figure out why one school seems to be doing better than the other or trying to understand where they're putting their money. This is going to help me as a parent understand. I'll also highlight for you that this is the budget versus actual. Again, which I really like because it's being able to show me my school board members are running on a specific item that we're going to increase teacher pay or we're going to fix our buildings. I'm actually going to see what they budgeted versus what they spent. I also can look at previous school years, which is really helpful to understand sort of the lifetime of where my school district is spending their money. So overall, this website by Georgia really is not only interactive and easy to use, but it gives me a lot of information in one spot. There's a lot of definitions to help me understand what I'm looking at, so I'm not confused about what it means or why they're reporting certain things. I also can very easily go through and compare district to district. I can see overall state. I think this is a really good example of a system that's making it easy for not only parents and school boards to understand, but also policymakers and staffers who are having debates about state budgets. we at the Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty hope that this bill by Senator Falskowski and Representative Magnifici can really help get WiseDash and the various types of systems that the DPI has into one central system. So we have the ability to look and dive into this data, regardless of who you are, regardless if you spend a lot of time on DPI's website. And it really makes it easier for school districts who don't have to try to find a way to put it on their websites, because it's obviously a lot of information. We urge you to join us in supporting the legislation by Senator Falskowski and Representative Magnifici that will create much more transparency in school district spending.